I'm feeling like all y'all feeling. Super excited. I mean, before anything, I'm a fan of this game. I love this game. And the game needs Klay. I mean, he's one of the best shooters to ever play this game. It's just a beautiful thing. And like I always say, the game is art to me. So I just appreciate it. It's fun watching him play. I mean, the way he shoots the ball is a beautiful thing. The mechanics, everything is just very aesthetically pleasing. So I'm excited to get him back out there. And obviously just being his teammate and having him on my side, like, it's pretty cool. You know, I've been watching these guys for a long time. I remember I took a visit to Washington State, I think my junior year, sophomore year, and Klay was still there. He had one more year. And I sat in Klay's locker, and the coaches at the time, they're like, hey, don't sit in that locker. And I always tell Klay about that story. But, I mean, it's just pretty cool to watch him, you know, learn about who he was at Washington State and then have him come to my favorite team, my hometown team, and then watch him be a fan of him and now, you know, be his teammate. And so, like I said, I'm just as excited as all you guys.
Go back to that teammate part, because it's been 2.5 years. There hasn't been a lot of time with him or being on the floor with him. So what have you discovered about Klay as a teammate and also who he is as a person?
Who he is as a person, I don't know. That's a question mark every day. I mean, you guys know Klay's just funny, random, filled with a bunch of joy. He's fun to be around. I mean, he makes you realize that this is real life and not just basketball, because he still has a personality. He's not like a robot. Even when sometimes things are a little serious on the court, he makes a comment or a joke and you laugh, and it just reminds you that we're human at the end of the day. And so, damn, I forgot the first part of your question, Kareth. I'm sorry. Oh, yeah, so that as a person, but as a teammate, I think it's just like it's going to, you know, raise the bar for everybody. I mean, you know, being around Steph and Dre and Andre, that already, you know, I always want to raise the bar when I'm around them. I always want to, you know, elevate to their level. And then now having Klay out there, he's a competitor. I mean, even though he hasn't been able to play in an actual game, you know, in practice, he's competing against us. He's competing within himself as well, you know, just to keep being better. And so that's always fun to watch, and I respect that.
It's going to be a really emotional night tomorrow. Steve said he imagines it's going to be the most emotional night of basketball in his entire career. So how do you guys, as the ones playing in the game with Klay, balance the emotional side of it, but also not letting that like be a distraction, using it as fuel to the game instead of something else?
I just think that's you have to compartmentalize. I think, you know, just seeing what happened at Madison Square when, you know, after Steph broke the record, everything, it was like the whole world stopped. And I was just standing there for a while, and I'm like, damn, are we still going to play basketball? Are we still going to play the game, or are we just going to call it a game and enjoy this moment? And I think you just got to enjoy the moment, live in the moment, but still understand that there's a job that has to be done and we have to win the game. And so, but with all that said, like, this is the magnitude of this moment is so big for us, for the Golden State Warriors organization, but just for the Bay too. Like, Klay's beloved in the Bay. Like, Klay's one of us. You know, Klay could move to Oakland forever. Klay could move to 95th if he want to. So I think everybody's just going to enjoy it. And I'm going to enjoy the moment. That's one thing I'm learning, is to learn to live in the moment, but still understand that when that moment is done, you have to compartmentalize and move forward.
Why do you think Klay is so beloved from not only Oakland and Warriors fans, but just literally everyone and anyone?
Because he's a human being, and he reminds you that he's a human being. I mean, he's goofy. He makes funny comments. He gets mad. I mean, the spectrum for his personality and his moods is, you know, it varies. And so it reminds you that, you know, we're all human. We get mad. We're happy. We're sad. We get injured. We overcome injuries and adversity. And, you know, I think he's inspiring to me and motivating to me, because I had an injury once 10 years ago, and that was a hard time in my life. And I remember my trainer at the time, he's with Orlando Magic, Ernest Eugene. He always told me positive people heal faster. And just to be around Klay and watch him overcome these two injuries, it's extremely inspiring. I mean, life is hard, and that's hard. Being injured for the game that you love so much and that you've devoted your whole life to, you know, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, every facet of you as a human, you devote to this game and then it's taken from you. And just to remain positive, still be a good friend, still be a good teammate, still be a good person. I just tip my hat to that man because it's not easy. So I'm excited to get him back out there tomorrow.
Juan, what do you think of the timing of Klay's return coming at this particular time?
In regards to what? Because we lost 2 back-to-back games.
I mean, the offense has been kind of, struggling a little bit the last few games. And just, again, you don't want to say Klay is going to solve and fix everything, but sometimes, maybe his presence, not just his game, but just having him now part of the team.
Right. Yeah, well, first, to answer your question, is the timing perfect? I don't really look at the timing as perfect because I don't really panic when we lose 2 games. We're humans. We're a competitive team. It's the best league in the world. It's going to be like that. It's a long season. But yeah, his presence though. He's a threat out there, so he's going to open the floor. If Klay missed 10 shots in his first game, nobody on anybody's scouting report, nobody's going to say, hey, sag off of him. He's not shooting. He's in the shooting slump. Nobody's going to say that. So with Klay on the floor, the floor is going to be so spaced, and his presence, does a lot of things. And then just the way he plays, he's a killer. He's a scorer. He's looking to get buckets. He can defend. And he's going to help us a lot. He knows this system. He's played at every level, finals, Olympics, all that stuff. So I'm looking forward to having him back out there. I'm sure there's a lot that I can learn from him. It'll open the game up a lot for myself, including many others. So I'm sure I can speak on behalf of my teammates as well. We're all extremely excited just to have Klay out there, but also to have Klay out there on the floor and compete with him against other teams. So, yeah.
Juan, you're one of 11 players who's never played in an NBA game with Klay. I'm curious, you mentioned the Washington State interaction, but how have you gone about sort of building a relationship and a rapport with him when he hasn't been on the court? It's got to be a little different than establishing that chemistry with someone you're playing with in games every day, right? So I'm just curious how you and others, and Jordan and Andrew and whoever else, have gone about creating that relationship.
Yeah, as a grown man, when you walk into a locker room, you kind of want to establish yourself and, gain the respect of others, outside of basketball, because people can think you're a good basketball player, but they won't always respect you. And, vice versa. People can respect you, but they can think you're a terrible basketball player. And so my point is, I never really worried about that part. I never really cared for people to think I was a good basketball player. That's not really something that I care too much about. I care about what people see me as a human being, because at the end of the day, this ball is going to stop bouncing at some point. And a lot of these guys, I feel like I'll have a lifetime relationship with. A lot of these guys are going to retire in Warriors jerseys, and I'm going to still be in Oakland. I'm still be in the Bay Area for 50, 60 more years. This is my home. So I just wanted to build a true organic friendship with him, and I think we've done that. I have the utmost respect for him, and, from our interactions and our conversation, I feel like the respect is mutual. And so the basketball part is just extra, man. That's just something that's a hobby that we do. At the end of the day, it's just a game. The game is taken a lot more serious because there's fans and there's a lot of money and it's on TV and stuff. But for us, it's still just a game that we enjoy playing with one another and, against one another. And so I feel like we got a really good relationship off the court, and hopefully that grows and, it can, what word am I thinking of? I don't know, but hopefully it grows on the court.
Well, that's sort of what I was going to follow up with. Just how do you think that will translate, the friendship you've built organically with him? Because obviously there's no question he's going to have a chemistry on the court with Steph and Draymond. They've been through so much together. But how is it going to translate with you or Jordan or Andrew, these friendships you guys have started to build with him?
Yeah, it is a game, but, when you get into a competitive nature, you want guys around you that want to win. You want dogs around you. You want guys that know how to win. And obviously all these guys are winners. Just walk in the gym and look at the banners. And so when you're at that level and you win at that level, you want guys who can elevate to that level. And so, you know, I want to show these guys that I can play alongside with them and I can help them get the job done. And so I think, you know, I've gained the respect of Steph, you know, Dre, some of the other guys, but I'm looking forward to earning the respect of Klay on the floor as well, because, I mean, he's a staple here. He's a very vital part of this organization's past and, you know, the future, present and the future to come as well.
Juan, I'm curious when you actually knew when Klay was coming back, and if it was before this post on social media, how hard was it to keep that secret in?
If you want my honest, me be transparent, I really don't ask. I try to mind my business because things are changing every day in this business. And also, like, I mean, that's hard. I'm sure he wants to come back sooner than later. I'm sure Rick has a different opinion. I'm sure Bob has a different opinion. And, you know, there's a lot of different moving parts to him actually, you know, arriving to this point. And so I'm just supportive all the time. Like, sometimes I do feel like I'm annoying him, but I'm just like, you know, like, we got your back. You know, I just make little comments, supportive comments, positive comments, because just positive reinforcement, positive energy. But in regards to like asking him when he's coming back or if he's ready to come back, I never asked him that because that's his own personal, you know, growth. That's his own personal stuff that he's dealing with. So I had heard it was sometime in January. I'm excited, man. For lack of a better word, I'm very excited.
The game that was postponed in Denver led to what became a very important scrimmage for Klay. That was sort of the point where it's like, okay, things are starting to ramp up a little bit here. What do you recall about that scrimmage, and what can you think of maybe from Klay in the last week or so? It says like, all right, this is building up to a debut.
Well, from Klay for the last week or so, he's been a lot more quiet than usual, and I've noticed that. So today he was just really quiet, and I walked up to him. I said, "You channeling that energy, huh?" He's like, "Yeah." You know, Klay's just always in his zone, and so I just make little comments like that, just to, you know, positive reinforcement, but stay out of his way. What I remember from that scrimmage though is he's a bucket. I mean, he's buckets, and it's very. You get more confidence with guys like that on the floor because there's not as much pressure to look for shots or to, you know, make shots. You got the best guys in the world doing this and making shots, get them open shots. And so we scrimmaged one time. He ran off 12 points in 43 seconds. And the opposing team, and this was a few weeks ago, the opposing team called a timeout, and I looked at the clock, and 43 seconds had gone by. And this is what I said. I said, damn, we got two guys who can do this? It's fun. I mean, like I said, I'm a fan of the game. I love the game. I don't care about scoring. I just care about winning, and I care about having fun on the floor. And so when I see my teammates making shots, when I can assist my teammates to make shots, when I can set good screens for them to get open and stuff like that, like, I'm happy. We all winning. You know, if Klay hits a shot, the Warriors get 3 points. It's not just Klay. So it's really cool and it's really impressive. I'm impressed by some of these guys every day. And that is the treat of being around greatness every day. You don't get to be around greatness every day. And so, you know, just watching him shoot today, I just watched him shoot after practice, and his mechanics are just beautiful. They're amazing. So if me and Klay are still friends in 10 to 15 years when I have kids, I asked Klay to teach my kids how to shoot.
Great. Let's do a couple on Zoom real quick. Bram, go ahead.
You just maybe 2-3 minutes ago described how Klay's presence on the floor was going to help the team. Take us to the other side. What will his presence off the floor do for the Warriors? How do you think it'll help you guys out?
He's a competitor, and he's a champion, and he knows what it takes. So, I mean, he's a guy that, you know, when he talks, you shut up and listen. You know, you listen to those guys. They're leaders. They're vets. They're very experienced on every level. And like I said, it's not every day you get to be surrounded by greatness. I mean, who scores 37 points in a quarter? Who scores, 62 points on 11 dribbles? That's unheard of. And that's not easy to do regardless of what level, whether it's CYO, JV. D2, D3 overseas in Mexico or in the NBA. It's not easy to do anywhere. And so I just admire things like that. I'm a huge fan and student of the game. And so none of that happened by accident. He's put in a lot of work and, watched a lot of film and learned how to do those things. And so that's somebody I'd like to learn from as well.
All right, let's go to one more. Maria, go ahead.
Hi, Juan. It's nice to see you back. You were just talking about Klay, his presence, how inspiring is him for you. So I was wondering, what have you enjoyed the most about being around Klay? Maybe there is an advice that he has given you that you can share with us, or maybe he has told you something during training that could make you feel better and boost your confidence.
My favorite thing about Klay is just the fact that, like I said, he reminds you that he's just a human being. Some people try to act too cool for school, especially in this line of work. And Klay is the furthest thing from that. He's very humble. He's just a human being. He laughs. He makes jokes, corny jokes sometimes. But he's a human being, and I appreciate that. He is who he is, and he never wavers from that. And I can always respect people who are always going to be themselves regardless of what environment they're in. And so that's my favorite part about Klay.
Terrific. Thank you. I will see if